I'll be talking about the supply chain and how supply chain can shape up the retail ecosystem in India. But before I go there, let's talk about the last decade. When we started the last decade, the e-commerce was growing up in India. Uh, they were talked to be the future of the retail in the ecosystem. Whereas there was this modern retail, the modern physical retail, who was also not quite there. They were also expanding, but they were not quite there, right? Uh, we heard some comments about waiting for the technology to come up, be the second, be the third, make some mistakes. It was very interesting panel discussion, by the way. Uh, that was the exact thing which most of the modern retailers, when we started the last decade, were doing. Then came 2014. How many of you remember 2014? I don't know if you 2014 was the first time e-commerce did a mega sale, BBD. The first BBD which Flipkart did happened in 2014. Although it was a big retail event for the e-commerce ecosystem, it did two things. It actually exposed the supply chain ecosystem in the country. I don't know how many of you know, but the supply chain crumbled. They could not handle the demand at that point of time. It also shook the modern retailers at that point of time. What it said to modern retailers is that e-commerce is here to stay and it is going to be big. And they started relooking at the strategy at that point of time. And when we end the last decade, I mean, obviously pandemic came and some of the things changed. But when we ended the last decade, almost all modern retailers had adapted the e-commerce ecosystem. Also, the e-commerce were thinking of ways and means to make money. I mean, they also started thinking different things. But when we entered this decade as well, there was another thing which happened when we started this decade. Quick commerce came as a retail option for the consumer. And now quick commerce is shaping some of the decisions which modern physical retailer would take, and obviously e-commerce companies would also take going into the future. What also happened is that different kind of a payment options, UPI, etc., became big, right? Okay, and obviously COD was one of the game changers for the e-commerce ecosystem in the country. But now UPI is also shaping some of the decisions of the retail as we go forward. What we learn from this entire journey is that consumers right now are ever demanding. They want things to change for them and change rapidly, right? We all know that omni-channel is a thing now, right? Okay, you cannot not be in omni-channel, right? They're shopping online but demanding pickup from store. The return logistics, they want that entire return logistics experience to be seamless. Consumers want, I would say, endless inventory everywhere. It's like I want the stock here and now, whether I'm in the northern part of the country, southern part of the country, or the eastern part of the country. And same day we talked about omni-channel. But to do this, supply chain has to transform itself massively. Obviously, technology helps in this entire pace. But supply chain as a retail, in the retail ecosystem, is a cost center, right? Okay, you incur cost of deliveries, you incur cost of inventory holding, and hence, whatever solution supply chain comes up with has to be a cost optimized supply chain, because retail in itself is a very, very thin margin. We know that it works at wafer thin margins. We don't have enough distribution centers across the country, and being a part of the supply chain, e-commerce, and the retail ecosystem throughout my career, I can say that when this entire retail transformation was happening, the supply chain in itself was broken. There was somebody for the first mile. I mean, I still don't find lots of end-to-end players in the ecosystem. There was somebody in the middle mile, somebody in the last mile, somebody providing just last part of the last mile, right? Okay, but the experience in itself was broken. In this entire broken supply chain, even if one part of the supply chain innovates, adapts technology, does something very radically, the supply chain, the end-to-end supply chain could not adapt to it. And hence, consumers could not get the experience which they wanted. For example, take reverse pickup. Reverse pickup, we all know the reverse pickup was launched, right? Okay, but what happened with the reverse pickup, the consumer's dissatisfaction did not go away. We talk about, for example, mobile deliveries, right? Okay, we saw soaps being delivered to the customer. So the customers, in a way, were very dissatisfied. They were not getting what they wanted from whatever experience of online they could see. Also, there's one big element to this entire process, right? Customers do return. They're not happy with the product, right? What happens with those inventory? Because that's a dead inventory for most of the retailers and the brands. And it sits on the cost and makes the entire retail business unprofitable, right? So supply chain, in a way, needs to adapt. It's time for a supply chain revolution. Although supply chain itself has gone through lots of transformation in the last decade, but it's time that we kind of redefine the need of the supply chain and find the right solution, right? Okay, and being in this industry, what I felt in this entire process, in the entire supply chain, is that the handshake between two partners in the supply chain at the end of the day becomes a big problem. Uh, and when I particularly was in supply chain, before coming to the business of supply chain, I felt that most of my bandwidth used to get into resolving issues between the partners which I have for the first mile, warehousing, or the last mile, right? Okay, and it was very difficult to find where the problem was, right? Okay, and I feel it's time that we redefine the supply chain, develop a supply chain to become more end-to-end and offer holistic supply chain solutions to retailers in the country. Now, what we do in Ekart, right? Okay, so Ekart was mainly born to serve the needs of the Flipkart retail ecosystem, right? The e-commerce ecosystem, because they could not find the solution in the outside world. I told about the broken ecosystem. So Ekart, over the period of time, has mastered the customer experience journey right from the time the customer places the order, right? And hence, we have developed grade A warehouses across the country. We have around 7,000 plus trucks which runs across the country, but it's not about the capabilities and the capacities which we have built. It is about saying that, okay, if anything enters the country, either through import or it gets manufactured in the country, the entire end-to-end supply chain can be taken care by one player. And it's not only about delivering it through the mother warehouse, delivering to mother warehouse through full truckload solutions, or delivering it to retail outlets through part truckload solution, but it's also about managing the entire reverse journey, right? Okay, so although we have big retailers in the country and they somehow have their own supply chain capabilities and they adapt very fast, they adapt technology, they can afford to make mistakes. But most of the smaller brands in the country, they are not able to have the supply chain solution which they need to expand their business. Right, okay, so if there's a small brand which is coming up, a good D2C brand, which is growing, let's say, very well in NCR, and they want to do pan-India, they'll have one warehouse which sits in maybe Delhi NCR, and they want to deliver it to maybe Northeast, right, okay? The delivery timelines are high, the customers are unhappy, the reverse journey becomes very, very painful, and the brand is not able to grow. They need a supply chain solution provider who can help them replicate inventory across the country at a very minimal cost, and maybe do a day-to delivery to the customers across the country. Also, in this entire process, the forecasting methodology also becomes important, right? Where to place the inventory. Then there are some brands who need customized solutions. How can they, and they don't have a deep expertise in the design solutions, right? Or what it also does is that if you are replicating inventory across the country, is that you might end up having higher inventory holding days, and that's a cost to the entire business. With this better forecasting model, you will be able to have a reduced inventory holding days as well. I talked about the handshake. Lesser handshakes means lesser losses. You have one player responsible for the end-to-end supply chain. The visibility of the inventory in the entire supply chain also becomes very important because not only the end consumer, the brand or the retailer themselves want to know what is happening with the inventory, how fast it is moving, what is the inventory turnover ratio. Also, a rapid scale up. You go to a particular warehouse in East, you also want to reach out to the customers there. How can a supply chain help you increase the visibility in the entire ecosystem there? We talked about the refurbishment facilities. And I don't know whether you have seen the video. I'll again run through the video here. But refurbishment, again I repeat, is very much needed for all the apparel, especially apparel and most of the other brands as well in the country. It is a big dent to the inventory. Almost 20 to 30% of the products come back either as return RTO orders or customers not happy sending it back, which we call RVP. They need to be refurbished and refurbished fast and placed on the shelf, either on the physical, on the shelf of the physical stores or online stores, to be sold as quickly as possible, which in itself can unlock lots of cost benefit for the retailers in the ecosystem. So what we have been able to do as a solution, and this is where I feel the supply chain will evolve going forward, is that an end-to-end solution, not only the physical supply chain, but technological solution which can also do forecasting, which can also do refurbishment, which can also help you expand businesses by providing visibility to your brand to the end consumer. The supply chain can enable that. And we believe Ekart is at the right place. Over the last 1.5 years, what we have done is that Ekart has gone beyond Flipkart. We have gone ahead and started offering our services to almost all retailers and D2C brands across the country. And we have 300 customers who are using our end-to-end services right now. As you think, some of them are using one of the services, but they are moving to the end-to-end services as well. And they have been very happy with, I'll talk about some of the testimonials as well. But beyond that, what we also offer is I think perhaps nobody in the industry is able to offer that kind of a service. Open box delivery at the last mile for the consumer. It becomes an experience which is as good as a physical retail. Somebody comes, opens the packet for you, shows the product which is there, so that you don't get into the hassle of returning or maybe a stone coming in instead of a mobile phone. Smart checks, a detailed smart check, which can also help you. Maybe let's say that you're exchanging a mobile. Hand-to-hand exchange is also written there, but you're exchanging a mobile. And somehow somebody comes at the doorstep and says that your mobile is not what you told me, right? And I want, I cannot give you the price of the exchange which we agreed. What we have the capability is that basis the condition of your mobile, we can upgrade or downgrade the price which is there. So the customer feels that he has not got a raw deal. I mean, he knows that why his price has been downgraded. He also knows why his price has been upgraded. We have one of the best supply chain for the large, especially for the e-commerce area, which is essentially furnitures, which is essentially white goods in the country. We have also launched our B2B services along with it. I talked about refurbishment, and we also have a concept called community warehouse where we have end-to-end technology integrated along with the physical warehouse solution, right? Okay, right from OMS, WMS, transport management services, etc. And it's at a variable cost level. You can just plug and play and start your business anywhere in the country. You don't need to probably rent maybe even a 10,000 square feet at one place, 10,000 square feet another place. You can simply say that, okay, I want these many units to be stored at 4 different places, and I don't have a technology solution for it. With an end-to-end integrated solution, you can just rapidly scale up across the country. These are some of the customer testimonials which we have, right? Okay, so one of the D2C brands, right? Okay, we enabled the end-to-end supply chain solutions for them, and they really saw the sales going up by almost 30% in the first month when they started the business with us, because their day-to speed improved by almost, I believe, 60%. So they were around 10%, 20%, which we took to around 60-65%. Then we had refurbishment facilities. One of our customers started with us as a refurbishment. They went to warehousing. They wanted us to fulfill their stores as well, and they started moving to the end-to-end services as well. We also enable lots of, I would say, so let's say that if you have a retailer ordering products for you, and when the retailer order the products, you want it to be delivered the next day, because if they are able to do the GRN the next day, you will get your payment faster, right? Okay. So we have the capability to do it by replicating your inventory just before the purchase order happens, and then the inventory gets delivered in one day, and your payment, etc., everything gets sorted. So we, in a way, want to enable all the retail and the D2C brands across the country and make their business grow, top line grow, and while also handling their bottom line and make the bottom line much more healthier. That's it. I think we can play the video. I'm done with the presentation.
Ekart processes millions of orders in a day from hundreds of brands across several categories.
This is a refurbishment center video.
Imagine this: a customer ordered a product but he wanted to return it because he didn't like it. And in the process of returning the product, it got crumpled and a button accidentally broke off. What do we do? Liquidate or reinventorize? Well, Ekart has the capability to reinventorize almost 90% of all returns without impacting quality of the product through a robust process, making this sustainable for all of us. So how do we do it? In 2019, Ekart started a journey to transform refurbishing into a quality-led process with the setup of the Flipkart Return Center.
Starting with just one center processing 3,000 units, we grew to processing 55,000 units in a day across the country. Skilled workforce of over 300 people on ground enables us to have better control of the inventory, have shorter lead time and salvage almost 90% of all returns.
The journey of any returned product begins at the first quality check station. Every step in the journey is designed with process excellence concepts to drive accuracy. Skilled hands with keen eyes identify the problem, and once identified, the product moves forward to the next level of check. The returned products are categorized into three major segments: apparel, footwear, and accessories. Irrespective of the nature of damage, like missing parts or minor stitching problems, all returns go through quality checks. Technology and innovation are the pillars of the Ekart Return Center. Best-in-class machinery ensures perfect restoration of the product. Technologically advanced upsteam tables and steam vacuum tables breathe new life into the fabric. Industry-leading foam finishers save up to 50% energy and add finesse to the products. Chemicals and materials used are frequently upgraded to ensure gentle yet best-in-the-class treatment for the products. Machines and products used for refurbishment are energy-conserving, saving up to 50% energy at every step. At the final stage, the final quality check is done. Once the product is checked thoroughly, it's packed and reinventorized, all set for a reorder.
We don't have to ship out the salvage products to another warehouse. Our warehouses and return centers are co-located at 13 locations, making us one of the largest services in India. Along with this, being connected to one of the biggest B2C express services makes us one of the most efficient and unique establishments in the country.
Reinventorizing returned products helps us ensure that the process is profitable for every partner. Flipkart values each and every partner and considers you an essential part of our journey. The journey of delivering smiles to not just our customers, but our partners too.